Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar this month. Talking about this month, July, the last month of July, or last day of July. Did you know that the Savings Institute of South Africa has designated that the month of July is a savings month? Okay, so hence this webinar today. So this is obviously an initiative by them that aims to reinforce positive financial behavior, number one, and number two, obviously to encourage consumers to live within their means. We'll touch on that little expression just now. So, saying that the future is unpredictable. We're living in a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility on the markets. But the idea is having an effective savings and investment plan in place. Obviously, will help you to secure a financial, call it safety net, which obviously will cater for unforeseen expenses, and obviously the main thing here is to enhance your peace of mind. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean van den Berg. I'm an investment specialist here at PSG Wealth. So my goal today is to discuss effective strategies for saving and investing your money wisely. Okay, so this is the my little agenda. If I can just get there. There we go. Oops. Very quickly. Understanding the difference between saving and investing. There's a difference. Embrace the pay-yourself philosophy, and we'll just do a quick overview of the savings and investment vehicles offered by PSG Wealth. Okay, so just to get going, talk about going back to our the topic of the webinar: should I save money or should I invest it? Which one is better? Saving or investing? These terms are, although they're used interchangeably, they're two sides of the same coin. That's the way I look at it. But it's important to note that they are very, very different. There's no single better option between the two of them, as both savings and investment play a role in a healthy financial plan. And obviously, that's the main theme today, is to have a savings and investment plan in place. So the main thing here is to understand the difference between saving and investing. Is it's essential to ensure financial security, and we use these two vehicles that help you, and I mentioned just now, to give you that peace of mind, knowing that you have this financial safety net in place. Okay, so let's get to the next one. Okay, just to give you some further context, why saving is important. The three main reasons there. You can see financial security and freedom. The way I see it is that peace of mind is very, very important. Having that safety net, as I alluded already, helps you to handle those unexpected expenses, or emergencies without stress, and that's I think is important. Number one, and number two, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to dig into debt, using your credit card and things like that, what I call bad debt or consumer debt. So you want to avoid that. Okay, and obviously the associated stress with that kind of debt. Future preparation. So obviously, the more you plan, the more you can prepare. Obviously, retirement is important, but also all your other life goals, whether it be buying a house or going on holiday or whatever the case might be, you'd be able to have that planned for, let me put it that way. Okay, and then lastly there you can see also career flexibility and opportunities. What I mean by that is just that obviously when you transition between different careers, you have that peace of mind that you've got money in the bank, and things like that. But also just those investment opportunities, allows you to grow your wealth through various vehicles, be it shares, a unit trust, or even starting a side business. But at least you have that flexibility to do that. So, a lot of people might not be in a situation where they have extra to save, but every small thing, every small contribution does add up over time. And I'll talk about it a bit later, but it's important to get into that savings habit as a starting point. Okay. So what is saving? And I know this is very, very basic, but let's go through it. Saving involves setting aside money for future use. That's the main idea, yes, for future use. So it's for someone with short-term goals, So preferably, we're talking about short-term goals. Someone who also might have a low risk tolerance. You're very conservative. You don't want to lose your money. So, you want to have access to that money straight away. So that's what part of it is. But obviously, there are also many different reasons for having savings. I believe the most important thing here when talking about savings is creating that emergency fund, and we have spoken about this before in previous webinars. The idea is to build up a cushion for tough times in case of emergency, as the word implies. So you want to put aside money regularly for that. You want to build up between 3 and 6 months of your expenses. That's a starting point. But also, you might, once that is in place, you might also go so far as to say, let me save up to buy that new TV or buy that, that new gadget. Let me save up for the overseas holiday. As I said again, and not going into debt and using credit cards to do that. So, how do you do that? You can start off by starting with a simple bank account. So bank accounts are generally low risk, so your money is safe. But obviously, it's just a place where you can have access to your money straight away. So it's important for that accessibility. But obviously, you're not going to be earning a lot of interest on that because the interest rates are quite low. But you do get rewarded for parking your money there. So saying that, keep in mind when you're talking about saving, what is your what is your goal? When will you need these funds? Say, with an emergency fund, when you have a true emergency, be it that you need new tires in your car, or you need to, medical emergency, your medical hasn't covered, whatever the case might be. So that's when you would need it, and you need to define it for yourself. What is a true emergency? What is your, what your plan is for the fund? So as I said, if I'm saving up for emergency fund, that is my goal, is for creating an emergency fund. So as I mentioned just now, give me just to get some water here. There's a trade-off between safety and risk associated with those goals. So the longer the goal, the more risk you can take on. In this context, I'm talking about safety. You can also look at it as a reward-risk ratio. Okay. So just the pros and cons. Obviously, you look at the advantages. You want to build up an emergency fund between 3 and 6 months expenses, ideally for, as I say, short-term goals, but also things like for groceries and your phone and not going on a holiday and things like that. So putting your money in the bank, as I mentioned just now, has got minimal risk of loss. Your savings held at the banks are protected by insurance policy called CODI. CODI stands for what was it again? I've forgotten it. The Corporation for Deposit Insurance. It's what the Reserve Bank started back in 2022. But every bank in South Africa will have to provide 100,000 rands worth of insurance per depositor. Okay, that's what that is. So your money is safe in the banks. On the downside, obviously, putting your money in the banks, I mentioned just now, you got lower yields. And also linked to that, ideally, you should not have money in the banks for long-term investments because inflation will eat it up. Inflation, they're talking about it being 6%, and if you're earning only 5% on your bank deposit, long-term, you will be going backwards. It will be eating it up. Okay, so obviously you also got an opportunity cost. Your money could be somewhere else. So ideally, as I say, your emergency fund between 3 and 6 months, and then rather have some additional money in other kind of investments for longer term, or call it medium term goals. Okay, so what is investing? So this is ideally for someone that's already got that emergency fund set up. It's ideally also for longer term goals with a slightly higher risk tolerance. So there's different assets you can get into, be it unit trusts. There's a whole range of different unit trusts you can get into, be it property. You can also get into shares and even ETFs, exchange traded funds. So the whole idea here is you want to get your money working for you. You want to get returns, higher returns, higher growth. And as I said, it's the longer your time horizon, the better. So this is things like your children's education, the deposits for their house, retirement. Those are the longer term goals. So it's important to choose also investment vehicles that are aligned with your goals, your investment goals, your investment objectives, your risk tolerance, and also your time horizon. Okay. So as I mentioned just now, different investment vehicles come with different risk. You can lose some of your money, you can lose all your money. So just be aware of those risks. But also understand that the longer your time horizon, the more risk you can take on. Okay, so you can, especially if your money's been allocated or having exposure to the share market. I always say to people, put in 500 Rand a month away. After 1 year, 6,000 Rand. If the market has pulled back 10%, how would you feel? Some people don't like it. Then the share market is not for you, But also, if your time horizon is a bit longer and you say, okay, my goal is 5 years' time, yes, I won't feel very happy, but I know the market will recover. So that's why you look at it. Okay, so here's the pros and cons. You have the potential for higher returns than putting your money in the banks. Obviously, it's skewed towards, as I say, more longer-term goals. And the best way to handle risk is to diversify. You want to not only have one share in a portfolio, you want to have a few shares in a portfolio. So you want to spread your risk out. The same with unit trust. The unit trust is very popular. It's already built in as a well-diversified portfolio. On the downside, obviously, you get at risk of loss, especially in the short term. It also requires discipline and commitment. So people, when there's volatility and uncertainty in the market, people want to move to cash. If your goal is more longer term, then that's where the discipline will come in. Okay. And then let's talk about this embracing yourself philosophy. Did you know that this expression, I first read about this pay yourself philosophy from a book. Some of you might have read about it, heard about it. It's a 1926 book called The Richest Man in Babylon. By the author was George Samuel Clayson. Okay, and that was where he emphasized the setting of goals, or setting aside rather specific percentage of your income for savings and investments. So way back in 1926, that's when I first read about this. Well, no, I wasn't around 26, but that's when the book was first written. But the idea is you have to pay yourself. It's just promoting financial stability and obviously long-term long-term wealth creation. That's what it's all about. So the main thing is that your savings come first. So let's talk about, some of you might have heard of the 50-30-20 plan. Basically is that 50% goes to your needs, your necessities, then your wants, and then 20% to your savings and investments. The problem is with most people, they tend to first spend money on the wants and leave savings for last. The reason for that is obviously spending. It's instant, it's visible, it's tangible. Yet the only way to make savings work for you is to pay yourself first, and otherwise you'll never have any money left over for your future goals and opportunities. So when should you put it this way, and I know some of you might be thinking about it, when are there circumstances which paying yourself first is a bad idea? So obviously if you're carrying a lot of debt, a lot of consumer debt, it's better to rather pay off the debt first than and saving. If you've got your credit card debt and you're paying 23%, 24% on your credit card, rather get rid of that than putting your money in the bank and getting 5%. Okay, so hopefully that makes a bit more sense. Remember, the goal here has to be debt-free. When I say debt-free, is bad debt, consumer debt. So let's talk about, let me get my cursor out here. So I already mentioned the 50, the needs, the 30 and the 20, but this is where it all begins. If you're going to be in the situation where you pay yourself first, and I mentioned this before, this is what they call the 6 buckets, 6 money buckets. The financial freedom account. This is the way I look at it. Financial freedom account, this is your golden goose. You never kill the golden goose, because the golden goose lays golden eggs. And the golden eggs is a form of passive income. Okay, so you want to create whole lot of passive income streams and reinvest and let it grow. Okay, but the thing is, you never ever, as I say, you never kill the golden goose. You never spend that capital. It's forever savings. Okay. And then we have long-term savings. This is your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months expenses. And this is also where you save up. We can you can break it 10% further and say, okay, I want to have 3 or 4 different goals. Might be a goal to save up towards for a TV, or might be your children's education, whatever the case might be. Okay. I believe in 10% giving. This is tithing, what I call tithing from our church, my first fruits. You might say, I want to give 10% to charity. You might want to give to friends and family in special occasions. I also believe in having a 10% allocated. By the way, this is what we call a spending plan, or ultimately known as a budget. Okay, so this is how you can allocate the money. So personal development, I'm a firm believer in having setting aside personal money for personal development. In this context, obviously, spending money on books and courses, learning about business, learning about whatever the case might be. You might want to start learning more about investing, etc. Okay. And then also, you worked hard for your money. Yes, you paid for yourself, but also you want to nurture yourself. So you want to have some play or some fun. This is where you want to set aside money for a nice expensive bottle of wine when you go to a restaurant, or you want to go for a massage, or you and your wife want to go away for a weekend away. That's what it's all about. And then 50% is your needs. This is call it your rent, or pay your home loan, your water and lights, your phone bills, your food. So this is what you need, basics. But this is a good way to break it down, as I say. Think of it as a spending plan. Think of it as I like the spending plan more than a budget. It's just the way you talk to yourself. But yeah, I hope that gives you some insight into the importance of paying yourself first. The thing is, you can make it automatic, and this is what the next slide is all about. Why you should pay yourself first. Make it a golden rule. You're going to set yourself apart from most people that are just scraping by. So you get most people work for their money. You want to get your money to work for you. So yes, the beginning might be slow and things like that. You'll see it in a few slides just now, how magic of compounding takes in, and the earlier you start, the better. So it's another way of looking at it. It's one of the first pillars of personal finance, is paying yourself first. Okay, so it's just setting a realistic portion. We're talking about 10 to 20%. Remember, you'll still have to cover your debt if you have any debt. So you want to just avoid that. But the thing is, you want to make it regular. You want to make it consistent. And the easiest way to do that is put money in the banks. You'll see in the next slide. And also later on, you want to maybe look at things like a unit trust account. You can start as low as 500 Rand. Every payday comes around once a month, take 500 Rand, make it automatic. I always say, if you make it automatic, especially with debit orders, you'll get to a stage where you don't even feel it anymore. You won't even notice over a few months. Okay. So yeah, it's just a quick slide, just to show you that the earlier you start, the better. Someone that's starting the age of 20, as soon as they start earning, they can start investing as low as 500 Rand a month. Your goal is to get to 10 million at the age of retirement, okay, or age of 65. So in this example, we're growing by 10%, and we're increasing our contributions every year by 6%. Okay, so if you start at the age of 20, you're putting 500 Rand a month away, you'll get your goal. The problem is, we're talking about a 45-year time horizon. The problem is, at the age of 45, you only got 20 years to go. You have to put nearly 9,000 Rand a month away to get to the same goal. Okay, this is very, very stressful. So the earlier you start, the better. So yeah, we're talking about the magic of compounding. You can also talk about the rand cost averaging. You're buying on a regular basis every month. You might be buying less units at the top of the cycle and buying more units at the bottom of the cycle. But over the long term, your average cost is much lower. Okay, so that's also working in your favor. Okay. Sorry. Just get rid of my little cursor again. Okay, so as I said, the easiest is just open up a savings account with your bank. It's convenient to do transfers and deposits that way. Make the transfer automatic, especially with debit order. That's a starting point. And then the next point is, this is all about call it the emergency fund. You can also go open up a unit trust account with us. We call it a voluntary investment plan. Again, you want to set money aside, especially with a debit order, 500 Rand a month away. You can start with a money market or income fund or diversified income fund. Obviously, slightly different risks involved, but also slightly higher rewards. I like the PSG diversified income fund. you're getting slightly bit more income and interest, and that gets paid quarterly. Okay. If you're an employee and you have a company that offers you a pension or provident fund, hopefully you'll join it. You want to be contributing to that on a regular basis. Your contributions are tax deductible. That's another thing you take into consideration always. Remember, within your pension or provident fund, your money is growing and it's accumulating tax-free. Okay. So a lot of times also your employer might also match your contribution. If you're putting 7.5% in, they might put 7.5% in. If this doesn't apply to you, maybe you might be self-employed, maybe consider a retirement annuity. Great vehicle, very tax efficient. Again, set up a monthly debit order. Contributions are tax deductible. You want to build up a nest egg, but basically, it's going to give you that peace of mind that you're planning for your retirement. Having a money market account or a diversified income fund for your emergency fund also provides that peace of mind. Okay, so let's talk quickly. We've touched on it already. All the different. We were talking about a VIP. Who's it for? Any investor that wants to get his money to grow, capital growth. You might be looking for income. You want to have access, you want to be able to access your funds. The worst case scenario takes up to 3 days for the transaction to settle. If you want to withdraw, and another 2 days to your bank account. So that's the worst case scenario, 5 days. Especially if you want to dip into a bigger amount of your emergency fund. That's the worst case scenario. That's why it's important to have some money in the bank or in the form of your emergency fund, near access. So yeah, you can start a rolls 500 Rand a month or a lump sum of 20,000. You have a whole range of unit trusts you could choose from, ideally designed to meet your investment goals, your risk tolerance, and also your time horizon. So yes, there is taxes involved here. When you want to withdraw, you might be switches and things like that. Also might be eligible for tax and things like that. But you have access to your money. That's the main thing here. You have access to your funds. There's no fixed term and things like that. Talking about endowment, this is someone that's paying more than 30% in personal income tax. This is a great vehicle to save. Obviously, there are some restrictions. Ideally, as a five-year time horizon. There's a thing called 120% rule. So wherever the greater within the first 2 years, you'll be able to. You can't contribute more than 120% of the 2 first years. Call it that. If you go over that, starts a new 5-year period. But again, it's a very tax efficient vehicle. Tax-free investment plan, as the word implies, very popular. Any growth in it, capital growth, income from dividends or income from interest is all tax-free within it. When it gets paid out, it's all tax-free. So you don't get the upfront tax benefit, you get it later. But the thing here with the tax-free, there are limitations. You can only put in 36,000 a year or 3,000 Rand a month. Some people like to put in lump sums. I like to put in rather monthly, as I mentioned just now about the rand cost averaging. Same with the retirement annuity. You can start with 500 Rand. There are limitations in the sense what funds you can invest into. You can only invest into Regulation 28 funds, which is basically there to protect you. You don't want to put all your money into high-risk equity funds. So balance funds are very, very popular. PSC balance fund, for example, you have up to 75% exposure to equities, and that's split between local and offshore. Okay, but the thing is with the retirement annuity, yeah, you get the tax benefit up front. Your contributions are tax deductible. Ultimately, building up a nest egg, and ultimately, one day when you want to retire, you move that into a living annuity. You can take a third of that as a lump sum, and another 2/3 has to be invested into what we call a monthly living annuity. Yeah, and that's obviously there's taxes involved there. Okay, that is very, very broadly about our investment products. So the point I'm trying to make here is there's an investment vehicle for you. Number one, understand what the vehicle does, understand the tax benefits, understand when can you have access to the funds. For example, a retirement annuity, you can only have access to that fund at the age of 55. So it's a very nice, disciplined way to invest. By the way, all our products, you have the flexibility to stop and start your contributions. So you're not going to be penalized. Very important that also for a lot of people. Okay, let's talk about direct investment on the share market. So we're talking about a local share portfolio. It's someone that wants to invest directly on the share market, be it through building a portfolio of shares or exchange traded products. It's not for someone that I mentioned just now, they can't handle the volatility and they can't sleep at night, then the market's not for you. Okay, so again, it's not for everybody. We don't have a minimum investment, but you must take into consideration the trading costs. I suggest, we talk about 25,000. I suggest at least 100,000 to create a bit of a diversified portfolio. It's not about making money; it's avoiding losses. Okay. With offshore, yes, we're talking about £50,000. Ideally, we do have a minimum investment, but ideally you want to have a well-diversified portfolio. You have access to 35 international markets, about 1,700 shares to choose from. But it's a bit more time-consuming. You need to know what you're doing. I suggest most people start at the unit trust side. You're going to have exposure to the same markets. You just got a fund manager choosing the shares for you. Okay. So, guys, I hope that, sorry, just grab some very quick rundown. Let's talk about, I mentioned right in the beginning that I want to talk about some investment strategies. I have touched on it already. Pay yourself first, the importance of that. I want to highlight for you, things like saving for emergencies. As I mentioned just now, it's a great way of forming a foundation for a savings plan. Okay, create a spending plan, call it a budget, and it all starts with spending less and you'll save more. Okay, that's point 4. And also, you might want to be in a situation where you want to, find different ways of making extra income. A lot of people are starting side hustles, they're working extra jobs, whatever the case might be. It might just be for short term, just to make ends meet, get to pay, to make some extra money. Do that. A lot of people are moving onto digital marketing and things like that. Take baby steps, take small steps towards saving. If you can't save, at least save, start at 50 Rand. I teach my son at a young age the importance of just saving a little bit. And that little bit gets into it adds up over a period of time. But what more importantly is that habit. And it's important also to see that your investments are growing. And that's also a big motivator. So it's psychologically big influencer. Allocate your investment assets. So different investment vehicles give you different risks and different growth. So just be aware of that. So again, going to investments are going to give you some compound growth. Going to investments are going to be able to use rand cost averaging. Use that to your advantage. Okay. Understanding investment costs. It's also very important. I mentioned just now, just on share trading, the importance of the trading costs. On our investment platform, the unit trust, our costs are just the admin fee, 0.3% per annum if you're using a PhD fund. Okay. And then stick to your investment plan. Stick to your investment plan. Very, very important. A lot of people get sidetracked by what's happening on the markets, what's happening in the news, what's happening they see on headlines. Don't, think long term. And then lastly, do not be afraid to ask for help. If you need a financial advisor, reach out. We have a lot of financial advisors around the country. Okay. So, take what little money income that you might have and strike a balance. Start off the emergency fund. A little bit adds up all the time. As I mentioned, there are many types of different investment vehicles. Be it shares, be it unit trust, ETFs, having exposure to property market. Understand that all those come with different risks. And the best way to manage that is a well-diversified portfolio. And a unit trust is one of the better ways to do that, a voluntary investment plan. Okay. So let me just see if there are any questions here. Or what questions you guys might have. Gone through it very quickly. Doesn't look like any questions. There's a question. Here's a question. Says which is better, a pension fund or a retirement annuity? It was not better. They're the same thing. They're both retirement funds. But what's important, obviously, is that a pension fund is offered by a pension or provident fund are offered by a company, by your employer. If you're not employed by a company, the only alternative is a retirement annuity. So even if you're self-employed also, it's a great way to plan for your retirement is to use a retirement annuity. As I mentioned, the main benefit there is that it's your contributions are tax deductible. You get your money to grow with a whole range of investments to go into. But also what's important to understand is that, yes, a pension and a provident fund and a preservation fund, you could have access to that money beforehand, whereas a retirement annuity, you don't have access to it until the age of 55. That's the downside of that. But as I said, it's disciplined savings. Okay, so it's not a good idea to dip into your retirement fund before retiring. It was ill-advised, same as what's happening now in September with the two-pot system. People are going to dive into that, and to me, it's crazy because the tax is so high on it. It's your marginal tax rate. Pay up to 45% on your 30,000. You only get about 15,000 out, and well, different talk for later. Yeah, guys, that looks like there's no other questions. Yeah, doesn't look like it. Yes, Rajesh, can you invest in the RA after you retire from your company pension? Yes, obviously, yes. Obviously, that, as I said, it's open for individuals. Rajesh, hopefully that answers your question. There's a question here from Penny. What is the best way to reallocate money saved in the money market account in an account of approximately 500,000, which can be assessed if necessary? There's amount put aside 3 to 6 months to cover transition mode while not earning salary. Sure. Okay. Well, going from a money market account, remember that's the lowest interest rate you can get. You just move up slightly higher to an income fund, you move up slightly higher to a diversified income fund. So you still have to be able to have access to that funds. Worst case scenario is obviously it takes 5 days. Hopefully that answers your question. Doesn't look like any other questions. Guys, thank you very much for being on our webinar. Level. Do you think it's advisable for anyone earning a minimum wage to start saving now amid the economic issues? Most definitely. Economic issues not going to go away. So you're taking control of your own economy by saving. So yeah, to answer your question, you can start as low as 500 Rand level. Doesn't matter what's happening with the economy. Be in control of your own economy. Okay, hopefully it answers your question. Cool. Looks like that's everything. So guys, just in conclusion, I mentioned all these different investment vehicles. Whoops, where's my cursor? There we go. So if you click on this will take you to what we call the key information documents. To understand what's the investment vehicle you want to get involved with, and then go register for these products. But before you register, you're welcome to give me a call. Here's my contact details. You can drop me a call on 0860 000 368. You can also email our WAF box. Ask me those questions. I'm there to help you. I can't give you specific investment advice. I can't tell you what funds to invest into, but I can gladly help you with the best investment vehicle to meet your needs. Okay. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Until next month, all the best. Bye for now.